Hello Anchor Group, this is Jeff D. Tellis from Eat Live Primal. Just checking in with you folks. I've been meaning to get a video post up for 2 days now, and I had one completed and I was just having trouble getting it uploaded. I really wanted it up last night. I tried again this morning. I ran out of time, had to get to work. So I'm putting this one together for you now, and I think I know what I have to do to get it up and on the page. I don't know why I got hung up. But anyway, I just want to say, you guys are doing awesome. I've been checking up on the Anchor page pretty consistently. I think you guys have some great dialogue going, some really good ideas as far as food ideas and recipes, and a really great support system. So again, we got to thank Danielle for putting this together. It's working out just fabulous, I think, and I hope everybody's benefiting a little bit from it. I also understand, and it's completely understandable, some people are getting a little hung up on the low carb deal and the elimination of wheat and grains, which is totally understandable. This is completely foreign, I understand. But what you also have to understand is this is only foreign to our generation. My generation, maybe the generation ahead of me and before mine. Otherwise, the elimination in very low carb and low grain is a pretty natural diet, and people thrived without that food for a long time. So I want to just throw a quick analogy for you, because I'm sure you're going to hear along the way from friends, family, whoever, that's going to be saying, what, you're not eating those foods, and even people that are going to tell you that it's good for you and they're high in protein and you eat the fiber, and they're going to give you a whole bunch of baloney why you should eat it. So think of it like this, and you can even use this and repeat it and tell them to the naysayers. If you had the choice of eating fresh fruit or vegetable out of your own garden, as opposed to off of a big agri-farm that uses pesticides, herbicides, genetically modified foods, and have it sprayed with carbon monoxide for preservation and have food coloring pumped into it, so on and so forth, I think the choice would be obvious that you would want to eat out of your own fresh garden. Even if your neighbor or a farmer's market or a farm where you actually knew the source and you knew where it was being grown, it was locally grown, chances are, I think everybody would agree that they would feel much more comfortable eating that source of food rather than like apples from China or from, like I said, a farm that's using a lot of chemicals and whatnot. That's obvious. Same thing for your chicken, your eggs, your meat, and your pork. If you knew somebody, if you had an uncle who was raising chickens and getting the eggs, or had cows and you were even getting raw milk, or were raising beef cattle, I think you would, and they were grass-fed and they weren't being pumped up with hormones and steroids and so on and so forth, I think you'd be much more comfortable eating that food than a lot of the products that are on the store shelves, where you have absolutely no idea what the living conditions were for the animals, and what are, they're pumped up with food coloring to make the meat look real red, and all that stuff, and the additives and preservatives. So I think that is obvious. But when it comes to eating wheat and grains, ask somebody, would they prefer to go to a wheat field or where they grow grains, even if you know somebody that does, go out there and eat it fresh, pluck it and eat it, or would they rather have it grown on a big agri-farm, have it milled, processed, taken to a food processing plant, have this turned into, stripped and devoid of all its nutrients, refortified, because remember, every time it says fortified with whatever vitamins and nutrients, that means they either didn't have those vitamins and nutrients in the food to begin with, or they were stripped during the processing of the food and they had to be re-added in. And then they churn these out into these little squiggly pastas and Cheerios and cornflakes and shredded wheat and powdered form for pancakes and muffins and God knows what else. Which would you rather eat? Well, they don't have a choice, because unless that food processing happens, they can't eat it, because you can't digest that food, and that's why you don't walk into a field and gnaw on wheat, barley, oats, and rye. It doesn't happen. You only eat those foods once they are milled and processed. So throw that back at them and see what they say. Enough about that. Now, as far as making these lifestyle changes, there is so many good reasons to do it. You guys heard me talk at the seminar, and I can go on. Believe me, I can go on and on endlessly. So what I'm going to do is, you guys really need to get the information in your own hands, and you need to start doing some of the spade work yourself. So I'm going to try to point you in a couple different directions of what material you can use to bone up on this material. On the anchor page, I mentioned the book Wheat Belly, which is a very simple read and really puts things into context and will help get you a good head start on why you need to be eliminating those foods out of your diet. There's another book from Robb Wolf called The Paleo Solution. I know that was mentioned on the anchor page as well. I believe Nicole has been using that book. She's been going paleo. Great book. There's also Mark Sisson, Primal Blueprint. This is a very, very easy read and has a lot of great information. And you got to remember this, like Mark Sisson and Robb Wolf and all these people, it's not all the same. All these diets aren't the same. They advocate a lot of the same things, but there are different quirks. And it's kind of up to you to find out what works best for you. Do you look, feel, or perform better with these foods, without them, so on and so forth. This is another great book in the primal vein called Primal Body, Primal Mind by Nora Gagaudis. A little more science in here, but nevertheless, great stuff. She's an excellent. She has a great podcast too that you should check out. Now, Loren Cordain has been writing about the paleo diet for quite some time. So his book is The Paleo Diet, and then he followed it up with another book recently called The Paleo Answer. He has another book called The Paleo Diet for Athletes, which I use a lot of the material from this book, especially when I'm coaching people that do marathons, long distance running, and endurance athletes. It's a great book for it. Like I said, I train people doing ultra marathons, 100-mile marathons, and they follow a paleo diet and have great success. Obviously, I use it in all my personal training for myself, and have made some nice gains with it. Loren Cordain also has the Paleo Diet Cookbook. If you need recipes and ideas, I know you got a lot of stuff on the anchor page, but there's some really good books that have information about that. You should get yourself familiar with Weston A. Price, with his nutrition and physical degeneration. They have the Weston A. Price Foundation website, run by Sally Fallon. A lot of great information online you can find. Now, like I said, all these different books, the Weston A. Price Foundation doesn't advocate a completely traditional Robb Wolf, Loren Cordain paleo diet. The Mark Sisson primal stuff's a little bit different. But the crux of all those books are, insulin control to control your weight, and it all started with Dr. Atkins' The Diet Revolution. Read this book about 3 times. Now, I don't advocate the Atkins diet, but the science behind it is sound. Remember, Atkins doesn't really, their diet doesn't care exactly what carbohydrates you reintroduce. Doesn't matter if it's wheats or grains or, even sweets to a point, as long as you are controlling your insulin. So when somebody tells you that what you're doing, you're not eating bread, you're doing the Atkins diet, you have to ask them, have you read Dr. Atkins' book? How familiar are you with the Atkins diet that you think you can speak about it intelligently and tell me what I'm doing? Unless you've read all this material, people shouldn't assume that they know what a paleo diet is, a primal lifestyle, Atkins, South Beach. Read the material, understand it, know the difference between them, and then maybe we can have an intelligent conversation about it. The absolute, probably most important book you should read is Good Calories, Bad Calories by Gary Taubes. This book is this is it right here. You get it's a tough read. I've read this probably 3.5 times, and I use it as a reference source a lot. He came out with a second book called Why We Get Fat, and it's a condensed, abridged version with less of the science in it. You might want to start there. This is a heavy, heavy read, but if you are a reader, an avid reader, and you can muscle your way through this book, believe me, you'll be way ahead of the curve. This book here, Lights Out by T.S. Wiley, this is a game changer. You read this book, and this is, it has partially to do with diet, but lifestyle, stress, and sleeping. This right here, I highly recommend this book, and it'll tie in other aspects of your life to your nutrition, and you'll be out there like gangbusters. Now, I just started this book actually last night. This is The New Evolution Diet. Art Devaney wrote this. This is an older book, pretty simple, easy read. I'm just getting into it, but I'm sure it's along the lines of that other stuff. And I'm also in the midst of an audio book called What Doctors Can't Tell You. You might want to check that out from a medical standpoint. And that really doesn't have much to do with diet, but once again, that ties into lifestyle, and that can be pretty helpful too. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let you guys, anybody that's interested, those are some recommended reads. There's a lot of good material out there. If you need any more suggestions, let me know. So I have a lot more information I want to get to you, but I will put together another video podcast in the next day or so, because I got some great analogies that I want to throw at you. You guys are doing great. Keep up the good work. I can't wait till Saturday. Also, watch for a video post before Saturday, because it's going to be pertinent to the workout. I'm going to give you guys some information that you're going to need going into Saturday. So keep watching these posts. I don't do them just to hear myself talk. I'm trying to get the good stuff to you guys. So good luck. See you guys soon.